everyone, thanks for watching today's episode. Today's episode is sponsored and brought to you by Helix Mattress. Now, yes, I've been using Helix for quite some time. They're a great company to work with. They've been partnered with us for over 2 years now, and we're so grateful to call them one of our partners officially for the Completionist. In fact, Helix wants to make sure that you guys get the best rest possible with their new lines of mattresses across the board. So they've actually changed and revitalized their entire sleep quiz process in March of this last year to ensure that you're getting the ideal premium mattress customized to fit your personal needs. As most of you already know, they hooked me up with a mattress for me and my partner, and we've been loving it for pretty much well over the last 2 years. And this mattress offers plenty of support and comfort for us both. Now, I am a big guy. I don't sleep well, but with this mattress, I kid you not, I actually sleep well for the first time in many, many years. Helix is so confident in their product that not only do they offer a 10-year warranty and offer a 100-night sleep trial that's fully refundable, but they also offer free shipping anywhere within the United States. And that's all on top of saving you $200 when you use our link in the box below, or you can just go to helixsleep.com/thecompletionist. And if you do that right now, you're gonna get 2 free pillows to boot. And then from there, it's just a matter of unrolling that mattress from the box, so setup is super easy. Again, if you want to get ahead in their mattress game and you want to get one for yourself today, helixsleep.com/thecompletionist. Save $200 off your order and get 2 pillows today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Helix, for supporting the show. And now, let's get to it. This episode is brought to you also in part by Patreon. Sign up right now at patreon.com/thecompletionist today to get our completion bonus for just $5 a month. Sign up by May 6th of 2022, and as a bonus, you can submit questions to our Mina the Hollower video AMA with the developer Yacht Club Games. The show is made possible with viewers like you. To complete games professionally once a week on average is a true pain. Whenever I look at a big new open world game, I don't think about how beautiful it is or how fun it will be. I think about how long and grueling the process doing everything will be. I am Sisyphus, and every week I must push this gigantic boulder of gaming up a hill made up of fluctuating YouTube ad revenues and weird YouTube rabbit holes until the wear and tear of it all has ground my flesh into the earth. But that boulder's a lot easier to move when it's pink, cute, and can float. That's right, everyone. This week we're going to be completing the brand new Kirby game. This adorable floof has been going strong since 1992 with its simplistic yet satisfying gameplay and accessibility to all ages. That brand new title just came out a little bit ago, and I have been dying to give it a shot. And I gotta say, I was shocked to learn that this was one of the most satisfying completion experiences I have had in quite a long time. So join me in my adventures as I complete Kirby and the Forgotten Land for the Nintendo Switch. Hey everyone, and welcome to another brand new episode of The Completionist, where we don't just beat the games, we complete them. Now, I've been working on a bunch of big games right now, but sometimes need a little bit more time while they're in the oven. So until that main course is complete, I hope you'll enjoy this Kirby-themed appetizer instead. And you know what? Kirby has earned a spot on the Completionist menu. He's been a Nintendo staple for over 30 years now. Wow, 30 years old. And I'm 34. I'm older than Kirby. I'm old. Whoa. Yes!
All glory goes to the winner! Game over! Wake up! Last one standing wins!
Kirby, Sakurai's sweet summer child. I first fell in love with this carnivorous marshmallow in his first adventure on the Game Boy, Kirby's Dream Land. Ever since, I've enjoyed almost every single one of his appearances, whether it's an epic yarn, an air ride, or even a nice round of golf. No matter what you're doing with Kirby, you are in for a smashing good time. There are so many more games that outweigh the fun than the bad when it comes to the pink demon of the void. But no matter what the puffball from Planet Popstar did, fans pretty much know what to expect from a mainline Kirby title. A cute and simple 2D adventure in a dreamlike setting where you suck up bad guys, absorb their powers, and constantly feel like you're getting a warm hug. And you know what? There ain't nothing wrong with that. But last year in September of 2021, during the Nintendo Direct, the world was introduced to a new kind of Kirby. Kirby was still Kirby, but the setting had gone from Dreamland to a post-apocalyptic city with no sign of human life. Everything was destroyed and overgrown by nature. A freeway was reduced to rubble. A mall was disheveled and covered in moss. A desert was filled with empty storage containers. This was not Kirby in Dreamland. This was Crazy Kirby Fury Road. Okay, clearly it wasn't going to get that dark, but it's always exciting to see an established series go into a bold new direction. And on the other hand, the story starts off pretty basic. Kirby's hanging out. Wait, no, hold on. I got it. Hold on. Okay. Keep with the Mad Max vibe, okay? DDD is Immortan Joe. Adeline could be Furiosa. Bandana Waddle Dee could be the Doof Warrior. Sorry, back on track. Kirby's hanging out on Planet Popstar when suddenly a mysterious vortex appears. This sucks up Kirby and everyone else, and Kirby wakes up alone on a beach. After saving a flying chinchilla named Elfilin, Kirby learns that all of the Waddle Dees are being kidnapped by the Beast Pack. And it's up to the two of them, or three of them if you're playing co-op with Bandana Waddle Dee, to rescue all of the fellow Waddle Dees of the world. Now, of course, the story is relatively simple, all things considered, but it is perfect for Kirby. Really, you don't need anything else to go on a quest when it comes to Kirby. And you're going to want to, because this is Kirby's first fully 3D game. Now, yes, Crystal Shards was fun and had 3D graphics, but it still was technically a 2D platformer. Forgotten Land is a true 3D platformer. And marking this year, Kirby is 30 years old now, so it's time to trek into unknown territory.
Now, Kirby games are a guaranteed joy. Despite these games never being necessarily a mind-blowing experience, I have enjoyed every single one that I have played. And I am very pumped for Kirby in the Forgotten Land to continue that trend. Because even though Kirby has finally ventured into 3 dimensions, officially speaking now, it still feels like a classic Kirby journey. And that's fantastic. Game director Tatsuya Kamiyama said that HAL Laboratories has struggled with a 3D Kirby game since the 2000s, but they want to make something special for Kirby's 30th. And you know what? I think they nailed it. This is a step in an exciting new direction for Nintendo's cutest character. In fact, I think we could be in the midst of a Kirby renaissance right now. Okay, so in professional wrestling, the current tag team champions of SmackDown, the Usos, debuted a new finisher recently called the 1D, which is almost completely identical to a classic finisher called 3D, famously used by the Dudley Boys. See, despite being the exact same move being used, it felt great to still watch it because the wrestlers were different and they can experiment with the move in new and exciting ways that haven't been done before. This is how it felt finally to get to play Kirby in 3D. Overall, the game uses the same formula. If you've played a 2D Kirby game, you'll feel right at home in Forgotten Land. But years of polish with new circumstances have made something truly memorable. First off, the soundtrack is killer. It's orchestral and a ton of fun. And when those dramatic moments happen, that electric guitar pumps me right up. It is, dare I say, epic? This probably has one of the best soundtracks in the franchise. And that's saying a lot because recently a cover of Meta Knight's Revenge just won a flippin' Grammy. Shoutouts to you, a big band. Y'all deserve it. Congratulations. The transition from 2D to 3D is nothing short of astounding. And although there are some graphical issues, seriously, it kind of is a requirement at this point for Nintendo games to have lag when you are far away from an object and you have yet to approach it, but I don't really care. The art direction more than makes up for it. The combination of real-world aesthetics with all these cutesy characters really works. And when I say cutesy, I mean cute. Just look at a Woofy. These guys try to be scary, but all I want to do is hug them and squeeze them and love them until they pop. There's also more level variety than in most classic Kirby titles. Usually you get a lot of grassy fields and platform colors changing based around the environment. But Forgotten Land, every level feels fleshed out and completely different from the next one, even though they're in the same universe. You can see these changes in the different areas in the overworld map where you can zoom in around on the star, seeing everything you've conquered thus far. Just in the abandoned theme park area alone, which is easily my favorite in the whole game, you get a roller coaster, a robot light parade, and a haunted house. And they all look great, especially when you see a bunch of Woofies in line waiting for one of the rides. Seriously, these are some of the cutest characters in 2022. Let's go, Woofies! But even though it is now in 3D, Forgotten Land's gameplay is essentially the same. You run, you float, you suck up enemies into your mouth, you copy their abilities, and you try to get to the end of the level. But Forgotten Land has that extra caveat of having to save as many Waddle Dees as possible. Now, you automatically do get 3 Waddle Dees for beating the stage. However, there are several on each stage, and all of them are hidden and they need to be found. And not just in location either. Now, fortunately, this is relatively easy to do, and it feels incredibly satisfying, whether you complete a secret task or just stumble upon them in a treasure chest. Even if you don't see the Waddle Dee right away, you can hear their muffled screams somewhere nearby. You know, since they have no mouths. This is literally the definition of I have no mouth and I must scream. Now, these Waddle Dees are essentially side missions that can be completed to find the secret Waddle Dees. These are relatively simple and require you to do tasks like reaching a certain spot, defeating a mini boss a specific way, or helping some cute ducklings find their mom. That one is the sweetest and has to be one of my favorite ones in the game. Saving the Waddle Dees sends them back to Waddle-Dee Town, which is the home hub world for this title. The more you save, the bigger and more populated the town becomes until you reach the max population of 300 Waddle Dees. Getting straight to the point, this is a great and satisfying way to show the player that they're making progress in the game. Not only is that completion percentage getting bigger and bigger on the pause menu, but you can actually see the people you're saving. It's a nice touch, really. And doing this also opens up a lot of buildings and activities for Kirby to interact with, which I will get to in a little bit. The most important one for now is the weapons shop, since you can upgrade your copy abilities here. Copy abilities, of course, are the staple for the Kirby franchise and work the way they do in most Kirby games. Suck up an enemy and you can use their ability. The difference is that Kirby the Forgotten Land only has 12. Now, this may seem disappointing at first, and trust me, this was one of my biggest gripes with the game, even though I've completed it at this point. But the upgrade system allows for these power-ups to get more powerful and become more unique once you find the blueprints in the stages. So for example, the fire power-up lets you spit fire, but the final form is called Dragon Fire that lets you spit out fire even further, leaving a damaging flame behind, and gives you a really kick-ass air charge attack where you basically become a dragon kamikazing into an enemy. This is easily one of the best power-ups in the game, but my other favorites are the Ice and Ranger abilities. Ice lets you freeze enemies, while Ranger gives Kirby a freaking gun. That's right, baby, Kirby's packing heat now. Hands down, the best upgrade of the game has got to be the sword. Eventually, you get the Meta Knight blade, and then you get a better version of that, and it's all kinds of broken. This makes for a total of 36 different abilities, but nothing comes free. These upgrades cost a small amount of golden coins and a few of these things called rare stones. Rare stones are star-shaped crystals that are mainly found in Treasure Road challenges. These challenges are ability-specific challenges that are found in the overworld that give you a task and a time limit. These are super fun, but they also serve as a great way to learn what these power-ups are capable of. It's also a great way to master Forgotten Land's newest gameplay feature, Mouthful Mode. Since this is essentially an apocalyptic Earth, Kirby can now suck up regular objects to gain different abilities. For instance, Kirby can suck up an archway to become a hang glider, a tube or a circle to become an air cannon, or a car to become, well, a car. Watching Kirby wrap its skin around these objects is the perfect combination of adorable and body horror. Basically the equivalent of a Cronenberg Care Bear, which I'm sorry for telling you that. Most of these are really creatively used and make for a good amount of in-game variety without feeling like a completely different game. The air cannon can be used as an attack, but it can also be used to blow away sand and propel a boat over water at any given moment. On the other hand, you can suck up a locker and literally just dead ass fall over. Not the most exciting power up here, but it did give me a chuckle the first few times I did this. At the end of the day, these make for some of the most clever parts of the entire game. The boss fights are pretty memorable too, especially one of the final bosses. Remember earlier where I mentioned adorable body horror? That definitely applies here, as it is the primordial combination of every enemy you've ever fought. It's genuinely unsettling. HAL Laboratories really knocked out of the park with the main story of Kirby and the Forgotten Land. It's charming, very fun, and engaging despite its relative simplicity. And that carries on for most of the post-game too. Now, there was a lot of RNG involved towards the end of the game, but I think the post-game makes Kirby and the Forgotten Land one of the best Kirby games ever made. Kirby's Dream Land for the Game Boy was incredibly basic in its completion process, but other Kirby games have stepped them up by adding a bunch of side games and bonus levels. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is no different, but the difference that does happen here is that it makes the player feel like this whole progression process feels a lot more satisfying. This starts off with upgrading Waddle-Dee Town. As I mentioned earlier, it is constantly growing and expanding as you rescue all 300 of the Waddle Dees. This opens up a ton of shops and buildings that will not only help you on your journey, but will provide a lot of awesome side experiences. After the weapon shop gets built, you'll soon unlock a cafe and Waddle-Dee Livery. Waddle-Dee Livery is an online service where if you put in a code for Kirby and the Forgotten Land, you'll be gifted with coins, food items, and rare stones. Now this is pretty cool and is a great way to get a good amount of money quickly. To find these codes, you need to search around Waddle-Dee Town or find them in special giveaways online. So at this cafe, you can purchase healing items that you can carry around on your journey with you to go. So if you're low on health in a boss fight, you can just quickly eat a Maxim tomato. After some time, you will get another shop that sells better items to temporarily increase Kirby's speed, attack, and double his health bar. The attack and speed boosts can be stacked on each other up to 5 times, making it easier to handle bosses way quicker. But that health boost item is easily the best thing in the game because it's essentially a maximum tomato. So you'll be eating that supplement often. Not to mention if you're using the Meta Knight blade, that gives you a Zelda-like throw with your sword as long as you have full health. And that happens as long as you've got that double maximum tomato aesthetic applied to you. So within the world of Forgotten Land, there is a battle coliseum because if you're stranded in a new world and need to rebuild your society from scratch, why not just build a giant coliseum? This is where you can engage in those classic Kirby boss rushes. Now there are 3 different difficulties and they're all a ton of fun, with only the final cup feeling that difficult. Now there are many methods to do this, but my absolute favorite one is to unlock the secret and final sword ability, which is like a Meta Knight moth type character, and max out your blade to full. Now you can't do that until you've gotten to the post game, but we're gonna get there soon. Obviously add those attack, speed, and health boosts along the way as well. Finally, there are a bunch of mini games and buildings that serve as great distractions from the main game. These include the lunch rush matching game, some marble mazes, fishing, a movie theater to watch cutscenes, and a band of Waddle Dees performing music. It's all relatively trivial but nice touches that you do need to do in order to get certain figures for completion. But the most important part after you beat the main story is the isolated isles, aka the post game. Now, as you're beating the game for the first time, you fight this enemy called Leongar. He's the leader of the Beast Pack. It's this big lion. The ending reveals that Leongar's soul is still out there somewhere. In fact, you could argue that it's fractured. So in the post game, it's your job to collect all 300 parts of his soul. Doing so hopefully will bring back Leongar to his former glory. There's only 1 stage per world that's represented here. However, this is like the best ofs mishmashed into this weird amalgamation of a level. And within these levels, there are anywhere from 48 to 52 of these souls. They're not too difficult to collect all of these souls, especially because it does this cool thing where the level's aesthetic is changing, but I do want to add that it makes these levels feel completely different and fresh, especially with the aesthetic happening all over the place. The music's different, the vibe is different, the color palettes and tones, the enemies have just different behavior patterns, so they seem more aggressive, and every single boss in the game has an alternate variant in which they are much more difficult. So while you don't have to go out of your way to find all the 10, 9, or 11 Waddle Dees, you do have to find all of these pieces of souls. The nice thing is that when you get to that point in the game, when you clear a level, it'll tell you, hey, you got all the souls located in this particular area, so you're not going crazy trying to find that 1 or 2 soul that you may or may not have missed. These stages are much longer and much more difficult than the regular levels and serve as a great challenge at the end of the game. Plus, the blue neon coloring of the bosses makes them look really awesome. It's a great continuation of the main events and actually makes you feel for all of the beasts of Forgotten Land that you've saved, or become friends with rather. After successfully saving Leongar and collecting all 300 souls, you'll get access to the final blueprint in the game, the Morpho Sword and a figure. Now, the Morpho Sword is a powerful copy ability that makes for a great reward after finishing a bunch of really grueling levels. But one of the things I have not talked about is the ability that allows you to upgrade each individual upgrade to be even better. You can get Morpho Sword +1, +2, and eventually +star. However, doing that does not add to your percentage for completion. It is simply just to buff your favorite power-ups. So for me, I buffed up the Morpho Sword, added up all my awesome stats, and then went into that third and final ultimate challenge of the Battle Coliseum, and I destroyed like no one's business. So after doing that, the one thing I had left was to collect all the figures. Figures are an arbitrary collectible that are tiny figurines of these things that you'll see in the game, like characters, powers, bosses, landscapes, items, and of course my favorite, a Woofy. This was the thing that had me worried the most, because there are 256 different figures, all with different rarities. Yes, this is less than the Waddle Dees, but those are easy. I could figure out how to find them. The figures are completely driven by RNG. RNG can be an absolute killer for the completion process. Y'all remember when I foolishly completed the Avengers game? The RNG was so bad that I actually had to spend money in order to help me get the episode done out on time. Now, I read online this could take up to 20 hours to do. This means I had to create a strategy and fast. And so I did. And viewers at home, this was nowhere near as difficult as the internet made it out to be. For most of the game, the only way to get these figures is by finding a capsule in a level or by using the gacha machines in the alleyways in Waddle-Dee Town. Because it is a gacha machine, you can't control what you get, and you have to pay anywhere from 10 to 100 coins and hope for the best. But after beating the Ultimate Cup Z at the Coliseum, you unlock Trader Waddle-Dee, and for the cost of a single rare stone, Trader Waddle-Dee will give you a random figure that you don't have yet unless there's a special requirement attached to it. So my strategy in my back pocket was beat the Meta Knight Cup at the Coliseum, which gets you 500 coins and a rare stone every time you beat it. And I can beat that bad boy by just pressing A sometimes. Beat a cup, run to the alley, trade all the coins and rare stones I have for all the figures that I need. Now, I was worried when I learned about the RNG with the figurines that are in the game. It is never fun to just mash the A button and hope for the best. Am I right? But this turned out to be a non-issue for me because it took less than an hour to get all of the ones I was missing. By that time in the game, I had so much money that just buying the figures from the machine itself was enough to get me most of them. A post-game can make or break a completion experience. For example, getting all the Korok seeds in Breath of the Wild really affected how I felt about that game. But Kirby's post-game is perfect. More of what made the main campaign fun, but harder. Collecting all the figures could have been frustrating, but it turned out to be one of the easier tasks I had to complete in the game. For overall, it only took me about 30 hours to experience everything Kirby and the Forbidden Land had to offer, including just chilling to the music for a few hours in the background. And those figures turned out to be worth it in the end. At the end of the day, Kirby and the Forgotten Land encourages you to complete it every step of the way. And whenever a game does that, as long as it respects your time, I am all for it. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is fantastic. The new setting is invigorating and it's just flat out fun.
Finding every Waddle Dee felt rewarding, and perfecting those treasure road levels was a great way to try out every single copy and mouthful ability in the game. I cannot recommend doing all of this enough. Normally, RNG really gets my goat, and I was ready for that to happen again here, but if you save those last figures for the very end, you'll have more than enough coins to handle all of that very quickly. I cannot wait to see where Kirby goes in his next apocalyptic adventure. Oh, yo, maybe we can finally see what happens when Kirby sucks up a zombie! Well, that's kind of gross now that I think about it. Anyways, with all that in mind, I give this game my completionist rating of complete it.
Complete it!